Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Bald Prairie Real Estate, where I educate you all about real estate. Is 2022 the worst time to buy a house? House prices have risen so dramatically in the last 18 months. We must be in a bubble, and now that interest rates are for sure going to go up, they might have even gone up by the time you're watching this, that's going to cause prices to flatten and maybe even come down. That's the question I want to answer in this video is, should you buy a house in 2022? By having an argument with myself, but all the reasons why you should and should not buy a house this year in Canada. And by the end of this video, if I haven't scared you enough to make you think buying a house is a terrible idea this year, well, I can put you in touch with a fantastic real estate agent in your market to make sure that you do get a fantastic house at a great price. I've got a link to my calendar below. You can book me in for an appointment. I'm going to figure out what you need in a house, get you set up with that fantastic agent. But as always, we got to start this video off with another terrible joke. Did you hear what happened to those two kids that stole a calendar? They each got 6 months. Thanks, Paul, for that awesome joke. If you have a terrible joke I can use in a future episode, put it in the comments below. You definitely don't want to buy a house in 2022 because with how much prices have risen, they have to come down, and you don't want to be stuck paying for a house that is worth less money than what you paid for it. Hold that thought for 1 second. Let me grab a chart to show house prices in Canada. Let's not go back very far, just to 2008. That was when we saw house prices, mainly in the United States, but also in Canada, decline, and everybody references that as, well, this must happen again this year. And there were people that did buy houses at the peak and saw prices drop. But for the most part in Canada, within a year, prices were already at the same levels that they were in 2008. And you can see the same thing happen in 2017 and 2018 as the market reacted to the impacts of the stress test. Prices did drop a small amount and then continued back on their upward trajectory. Okay, but if you did wait until prices dropped, you'd be able to buy a house for cheaper and then see it go up in value. Prices have to drop this year with how much they've gone up. Yes, if you would have timed the market absolutely perfect and bought exactly at the bottom of the market, overall you would have saved yourself about 7%. But I promise you, this is a mistake that so many first-time home buyers make, is that they worry about timing the market. It's impossible to time the market, and anybody who says they can tell you how to time the market, they're not telling you the truth. Let's go back and look at that chart again. If you look at prices in September 2006, that appeared to be a peak. Prices were flattening, and maybe we were starting to see prices decline a little bit. So if you held off and said, this is the peak, prices are going to go down, well, 1 year later, prices were 4% higher. But the old saying goes, what goes up must come down, right? Prices went up over 20% in 2021. That's unsustainable. They have to decline this year. House prices aren't affected by the laws of gravity. Just because it goes up doesn't mean it has to come down. There are a number of factors that play into the price of houses. Supply and demand is a big one. Interest rates, population growth, market conditions, economic factors, all of that's going to play a significant role in where house prices are going. And not one of those is going to tip the market one way or the other by themselves. It takes a combination of all of those factors to see a market shift. 2022 is the worst time to buy a house because interest rates are going to go up. That's going to make houses more expensive and push prices down. Yes, interest rates are going to go up in 2022. Heck, by the time you're watching this video, they've probably gone up. Now, the media likes to really talk about interest rates right now. They often get focused on one single subject, and that's all they're going to talk about. Kind of like a few years ago when all the media was talking about was foreign buyers. Now all they're talking about is interest rates. There's far more to house prices than just interest rates. There's going to be fewer buyers because of the higher interest rates, thus less bidding wars, and sellers are going to be forced to take less money for their houses because there's fewer buyers out there willing to spend those extremely high prices on their overpriced houses. No, that is actually 100% incorrect. Since 2018, essentially all buyers have had to do a mortgage qualification based on a stress tested rate, not what they're actually paying. So right now the stress tested rate is 5.25%, and it's been around 5% since 2018. And when a buyer goes and does their qualification, say they're qualified to spend $500,000, that's based on that 5.25%, not the 1.5% or 2.5% that they will actually be paying. So if interest rates go up and the stress test does not go up, then it won't change what a buyer is qualified to spend. It'll change their monthly payment, but not the total amount they're qualified to purchase for. Those higher interest rates, though, will make buyers think twice about spending more because those monthly payments are gonna go up, right? Actually, yeah, this is kind of correct. Most buyers don't think nearly as much about the total purchase price as they do about what their monthly payment is going to be. So as those monthly payments go up, that buyer may choose not to spend more money. But when those interest rates go up, that means buyers are going to be qualified to spend even less money, so they can't spend as much. Thus, that should slow down price increases, maybe push them down, and some buyers aren't going to be qualified to buy a house anymore, so there'll be fewer buyers out there. No, that's probably not what's going to happen. Yes, some buyers will choose to not make a purchase now because the prices or their monthly payment, more accurately, has gone up. But most buyers will just shift down to a lower price point. So if they're planning on spending $500,000, now as those payments have gotten more expensive, they may choose to cap their budget at $450,000. So basically, everybody just shifts down a price bracket. Not a ton of people will no longer be in the market. But I saw in the news how much monthly payments are going to go up when interest rates go up. Foreclosures are gonna go through the roof. I'm gonna be able to buy a foreclosure house for really cheap because so many people aren't gonna be able to afford their payments and they're gonna have to just turn the houses back to the banks. First off, only about 50% of houses actually have a mortgage. And then of that 50%, only about 35% have a variable rate mortgage. So most Canadians actually choose to take 5-year fixed rates. We'll talk about that in 1 second. But when those variable rates go up, yes, that 35% of mortgage holders will feel that interest rate increase immediately. The interesting part is going to be 3 or 4 years down the road from now, when those fixed rates, which were really low, some of them even about 1.5%, all of a sudden see a 2.5% jump. That could cause some homeowners to be in some financial difficulty. But remember, all homeowners, or at least all recent ones since 2018, have been stress tested at 5% or even higher, so they should in theory be able to make those mortgage payments even when they increase. Okay, lots of numbers. What does it all mean? Well, to boil it down, interest rates are gonna go up, making monthly payments more expensive. That may have some buyers choosing not to buy a house because of that. But most buyers will probably just change their budget downwards. Everybody will shift down a price category and the market will continue on with everybody shifted down a little bit. Yeah, that will have some impact on the market, but those buyers are still out buying. They're just changing what price point they're buying at. And yeah, higher interest rates may cause some people to have some financial stress, but everybody who has bought recently has been stress testing against significantly higher interest rates than even the most aggressive predictions for the next year, 2 years, 3 years down the road have interest rates at. So they should be financially secure enough to withstand those higher interest rates. And only a small section of mortgage holders actually have a variable rate mortgage. The fixed ones, that's gonna be interesting in a couple of years to see what happens. If somebody though is forced to sell their house because they're in significant financial hardship because of the higher interest rates, they're probably not gonna turn that house back to the bank and go through the foreclosure process. They'll probably just put it up on the market, put it up for sale, because even just last year, prices went up 20%. They're probably in a very strong equity position where they can sell that house, get all the money they put into it, and probably a tidy profit as well. So they're unlikely to go through the foreclosure process. Okay, so those are all the reasons why maybe you shouldn't buy a house in 2022. But I said at the beginning of the video, I was gonna give you the 100% guaranteed, fail-safe, best time to buy a house in Canada. And that is when it makes sense for your own personal situation. That is the right time to buy a house. Now, what is good for your personal situation is going to be very subjective. But in my mind, 2 things must be true. The first and most obvious one is financially, you have to be able to make that purchase, withstand higher interest rates and payments going up, and all the associated costs with buying a house comfortably. Comfortably, that's going to depend on what works within your budget. The second one is buying a house is a lifestyle choice, so it must improve your quality of life. Maybe you've got a growing family, you need more space. You want to be in a different school district for your kids. You want to be closer to family, or you just want to own your own house because you want to do renovations or yard work or whatever it is. All of those, they're very personal questions to you, but buying a house has to improve your quality of life. Actually, I'm gonna add a third reason on here, or third thing that must be true, and that is You're buying this house because you're gonna be there long term. In my mind, long term is a minimum of 5 years. 10 is even better. But if you're in the house for 5 years, 10 being better, you're gonna ride out both the ups and the downs, because there will be downs in the market where prices will slide a little bit. But when you look at it over the long run, prices always trend in the upward direction. There will be bumps along the road. So if you're in the house long term, you're gonna smooth off all those ups and downs, and you're likely going to be in a much stronger position when you go to sell that house than when you first bought it. Now that probably has you wondering, what's going on right now in the real estate market? Right here is my most recent Bald Prairie Real Estate market update, where I cover 11 major markets in Canada, get you up to speed what's going on there. And this is a playlist of videos that's gonna help first-time home buyers go through and answer all the questions about buying a house in Canada. As always, guys, thanks very much for watching.